So when did I start being smart with my money? I feel like I've never really been smart with my money. It really has just been trial and error. I think when me and Gabby's dad got together was really when I started taking money seriously. Like, to me, money just always came. I never really had to fight for it. I never really had to work for it. It just always came. So I never really worried about it. I didn't really think about my future or like investing until I met my ex, and he really taught me really everything that I know about finances and investing and real estate. And so he was really big into real estate at the time. And I had been investing in my 401k, but just like a little bit. Like, again, I didn't really understand what a 401k, I knew it was like money you could use after you retired, but I didn't understand why that was so important. I didn't understand that it was free money from the company that I was with. They just deposited into your account. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand really a lot of things when it came to like investing. The ESPP, the employee stock purchase plan, I didn't understand that either. And so I had all these things available to me, but because I didn't know what they meant and I didn't know how to use them, it might as well have not been available at all. So when it was time for me to buy a house, because my ex, he had his own house and we were like planning our future, and we wanted me to have a house, him to have a house, and then us to have, like, him to have an investment property, me to have an investment property, and then for us to have our house together. I was looking at buying a house, but I had literally $0 in my savings account, and I'm not kidding you. This is at the time where I'm making like 130, probably like 120 something. And I didn't have an emergency savings account. Like, I didn't have anything, and I only had a few grand in my 401k. And he was just like, well, if you max out your 401k, you can take out a loan against your 401k to buy your first home. And I was like, really? I did not know that. He was just like, yeah. So that's what I did. I maxed out my 401k, maxed out their matching. So I maxed out my 401k as much as I could. I did the employee stock purchase plan, which means that you buy the stock at a discount. Again, I had no idea what any of this meant. This was just something that he told me to do, so I just did it. This was during COVID. And so the stock purchase plan and the 401k matching was a lot more money than it probably would have been any other year. So I got really, really lucky. And then I was able to take that money out. This is like the first time I was saving. At this point, I had gotten pregnant. So I was saving what they said it cost every month to have a child was $2,000. And so I would take this money out of my account and put it in my ex's account, because I knew I could not, if it was in my account, I would spend it. So I just gave it to Gabby's dad for him to put in a savings account for me. And every month I would give him $2,000, and then I was maxing out my 401k. At the time I was only paying $500 in rent. So, you know, saving $2,500 a month wasn't really as challenging as maybe if I had like an expensive apartment or something. I was living in like I was living in his house, and you know, it wasn't in the nicest neighborhood, and it wasn't super expensive. And then during COVID, when everything was kind of like going to crap, everyone was like, okay, start investing. So I had subscribed to this newsletter that gave you like stocks to invest in, and I just listened to whatever they said, and it worked. Like, it was really insane. It was really crazy, because I thought it was going to be a lot more, I thought it was just going to be harder to save and like invest, but it wasn't. Yeah. And so then I started investing in the stock market, because this is when everything crashed and everyone was like, this is when I learned about FIRE, financial independence, retire early. And I was like, I want to be a part of that train. Like, how can I get there? And everyone was talking about like investing. You gotta invest now while it's cheap, because it's like discount on stocks. And I was just like, I don't know what any of this means, but I did it. And it really is like free money when the stock market is going up. So all I saw was just like all this free money. I was able to use it for my house. And that was like my first real time saving money and like investing and seeing what being smart with your money could do for you. And ever since then, like, I've really changed my life in terms of like my relationship with money, because I feel like I had, because I grew up not the most wealthy, and like my dad, he made a really decent salary for a car salesman, but he had 4 daughters. My mom was making maybe $20,000 a year the majority of her career. I wanted to give myself all the things that I felt like I didn't get as a child, and that resulted in me just like overspending, overindulging. I was definitely one of those people who's like, what's $5? What's $10? What's $20? And as we all know, those things add up. And I tell this story a lot, but when I was at Microsoft and I had just had Gabby, I realized at that time that there was no way I was going to be able to retire early on that salary. And I knew that I only get 50% of the time that most moms get with their child, and I wanted to maximize that 50%. And that meant I couldn't work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week just to spend every other weekend with my child. By the time she got home from daycare, it was like 6 p.m., 6:30, and then I'd have an hour before I put her to bed. I was like, there's just no way I can do this. And I need to figure out an exit plan from corporate America to be able to spend that time with my child. And I don't want to have to be 60 to be able to spend that time with her. So I knew I wanted to retire early, and I knew I needed a plan. I just didn't know what that plan was. And I knew it couldn't be dependent on me saving money, because I knew I'm not a good saver. So 2 things I did was, first, made more money. I mean, that is going to be the secret to wealth, I think, all the time, is going to be make more money. And number 2 is I got financial advisor. Now, I got a financial advisor because I know I'm not the type who can save money. And I also don't want to think about the money once it goes into an investment account. So I got a financial advisor because I was just making enough that it made sense. And so what I did was I saved and invested $2,500 a month. And it gets taken out of my account. I do not see it. I can't touch it. It goes into investment accounts for me. And like, you know, sure, if I needed it, I could go get it. But I have a financial advisor who's going to ask, like, why do you need this? And if I told her it was to buy something silly, she'd probably be like, no, we're not going to give that to you. Those are things that I did because I knew that I needed that. And also it really just helped me understand the financial market as much as I needed to. You know, having someone there to tell you, like, yes, this is a good time to invest. No, this is not a good time to invest. I started making more money. I left Microsoft. I went to Meta. I was making more money. And then I put my house that I'm in now, I put it on Airbnb. And my goal was, you know, it was too much house. It was too much for just me and Gabby. And it was just so much upkeep. It was so expensive to take care of. And I didn't realize how expensive home ownership was. I put the house on Airbnb in hopes that it would at least just like cover the mortgage. And that was the intended plan with this additional property. You know, during that time, me and my ex broke up. So we were putting the house on Airbnb and moving back to Atlanta, which was originally the plan. So I still wanted to put the house on Airbnb. I got it ready for Airbnb. It was so expensive. And my only goal was just like to cover the mortgage, ideally, and maybe like a couple few $100s. But my house has a pool, and it has a heated pool, and it's in a really good area. And it just did really, really well. 2021, I started the year making, you know, $130,000 a year, which was an amazing salary. And then by the end of the year, I had increased my salary by $70K. I had an Airbnb that was making, you know, $4,000 to $5,000 net every month. And I had played around with stocks and crypto for the first time and realized that, oh, this is it. This is the key to make money. And getting raises and leaving jobs and getting promotions, while those things are great, it was not going to lead me to the level of wealth I needed to be able to retire early. And all these things were coming together, and they were. So in this journey, as I've taken all these different steps and these different pathways to make more money, save more money, invest more money, and really just learn about money, some of the biggest takeaways that I have is you are going to have a lot more success with investing if you do it early. Time is really on your side, especially when you're in your 20s. That's definitely something I wish I would have done in my 20s, was even if it was just like my 401k or Roth IRA, really just saving and investing. Number 2, it's you don't have to be scared of debt. I feel like a lot of the publications and books and podcasts that are out there portray this image that you have to be debt-free in order to be a millionaire. And I don't think that's true. I think debt can really help you as long as you know how to use it. I had to take out debt to put this house on Airbnb, and it made me $70,000 in 8 months. I had to take out a loan against my 401k, which is debt. You know, it's my debt against me. If it wasn't for using my 401k to buy my house, I wouldn't have a house. I would have never had an Airbnb. I think that when people are obsessing over being debt-free, they're looking in the opposite direction, because they don't want to like take out money to make money, but sometimes you do, and you shouldn't be afraid to do that as long as you know what you're doing and know how to go about it. The third thing is that you do not have to be a budgeter. I'm still, even now, not a budgeter. I do not like budgets. I've downloaded all the apps. I've bought so many Google Drive and Excel spreadsheets to help me budget. I have Mint, I have Rocket Money, I have Albert, I have that Digit app that helps you save money. But what I realized about myself is I'm not a budgeter, and so the more time I tried to live life as a budgeter, I would just binge, right? I would do the same thing as when I would try to go on a diet. And then as soon as I get a taste of non-diet food, I just binge. That's how it is saving money for me and budgeting. If I feel like I'm restricting myself, then I'm just gonna start buying a bunch of dumb stuff that I don't need. What works for me is money just has to be out of sight, out of mind. If it's not in my account, if I can't spend it, if I can still see it, but I can't spend it, that's what I need. I need restrictions on my own money because I am a teenager when it comes to saving and budgeting. The point of making this is just to show people that you don't have to be a financial whiz, you don't have to have an 800 credit score, you don't have to be debt-free in order to build wealth. Those are all things that all of us can do, and what I've learned is it just takes a little bit of time and a lot of patience to be able to build wealth, be able to save money, be able to see like your savings actually grow, putting your money in a high yield savings account, actually getting interest at the end of the month, and seeing all the opportunities there are for passive income, and showing how when you invest in something, your investments and how your investments make money, learning how to make digital products, learning how to make social media work for me. These are all things that I've learned along the way, and a lot of it has been trial and error, but I wish I would have had, in my 20s, I would have seen someone talk about this, and there's a lot of things that I wish I would have done differently in my 20s that I'm now having to make up for in my 30s. But it's okay, our credit score is getting higher, our savings is getting higher, our credit limits are getting higher, and our debt is getting lower, and our income is getting higher. And I think that's what you really need to strive for as you start thinking about, if you do want to live a FIRE lifestyle, or, building wealth inside or outside your 9 to 5. It's gonna be a long one. Bye.